Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Highlander Wrestling Show. I'm here to talk about, on my last video, I mentioned it, uh, Bruiser Brody, or as a lot of people may remember hearing his name, his actual name is Frank Donald Goodish. He was born June the 18th, 1946, died July the 17th, 1988, which was very tragic. That was a That was a cowardly move. What happened to Bruiser Brody, what the guy did to him. That was a very cowardly thing he did to Bruiser Brody. Uh, Bruiser Brody was a very well-known brawler in pro wrestling. I remember seeing him. He on TV and everything. He was always a very tough man, wild man. He was, like Terry Funk and Terry Funk, Jerry the King Lawler, Abdul the Butcher, Terry Funk, Mick Foley, Sid Vicious. I mean, he was just a straight out brawler, big man. He was like 6'8", and he was around the 300-pound mark, a little over 300 pounds. Uh, he was married twice, and he only had one son. And would say from what I always heard, Tony Atlas always said he loved that boy. That was that was a tragic part of what happened to him. He left. They took the boy's daddy away from him. Uh, see, I remember a lot of his matches he had. I remember seeing them were like of Abdul the Butcher. He's been in the ring with the Great Muta. He's been in the ring with no, excuse me, not the Great Muta. He was in the ring with the great the Kabuki Warrior. Excuse me, I get it right here. Man, not the Great Muta, but the Great Kabuki. And he worked in various promotions, like Central State Wrestling, All Japan. He was big over there in All Japan. Uh, let's see, NWA, Big Time Wrestling, World Class Wrestling out of Texas. Southern Championship Wrestling. He was in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. The NWA Tri-State Wrestling. I mean, I'd like to find some of that Tri-State Wrestling. Anybody out there that's watched this video and leave a comment, tell me what to actually look for on there. I was trying to find it, but I don't know if I'm looking it up right. I would like to see some matches from Tri-State. Uh, he I know he was in. See, here it is, right here. So he's won a bunch of titles too. He was also, before I forget, he was also at Mid South. I bet a lot of people out there probably don't know that he was at Mid South and Florida Championship Wrestling. I think he's held the Florida heavyweight title. Let's see. Let me look to see if it's right here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It just says that he's held it. Let's see. Well, here's something right here. Here we go. I'm sorry, folks. SCW World Tag Team titles one time with Dick Slater. St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Tokyo Sports, which is very impressive to win Tokyo Sports. Life Achievement Award at that in Tokyo Sports. Western State Sports, NWA Western State Heavyweight Title one time, World Championship Wrestling Australia, World Brass Knuckle Champion, which is very impressive. One time he suited for that title real well. World Wrestling Alliance heavyweight title one time. WWE Hall of Fame, which he deserved that. Wrestling Overseers Newsletter, Best Brawler of 1980, 1984, 1987, and 1988. Can't get no better than that. Uh, he at one time he was going by a King Kong Brody, which if you're gonna get down to it, I guess you could say that I mean that suits him fairly okay. I mean that's noticeable for him. But Bruiser Brody with the fur vest and the chain that he was swinging around his head, I mean, you can't get no better than that. Because I mean, Bruiser Brody, he just looked like a wild man, which they say was just as nice as he could be in real life. Tony Atlas, him and Tony Atlas were really close friends. Uh, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff on Bruiser Brody that you know he was a really big name in Japan, though. That I have to say that over here he was popular, but he was I want to say he was mostly popular like around the Texas, them kind of places where they had a lot of more brawlers. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was probably big in Amarillo, Texas wrestling. Uh, let's see, I know in Florida Championship Wrestling, I want to say that I want to make sure. Yeah, I want to say he was at Florida Championship Wrestling. He had to have been back then because most of your big names went there. Uh, I don't know about Mid Atlantic though. I don't think he was at Mid Atlantic yet. I think he was mostly like around Texas and places like that, where like especially out there around like New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, parts of California and places like that is where he's been really big. Yeah, I think he might have been even. I imagine he showed up at Louisiana a bunch of times. Because I mean, the Junkyard Dog was big at Louisiana in the South. I mean, you know, but yeah, we were mostly well known down here in the South to have the best brawlers. For the most part, we had the best brawlers down here in the South. That's basically what we like down here. Like well, Bruce. Now I've heard this story. I don't know how much truth it is behind it or what, like nothing like that. Because I know Bruiser Brody was at WWF, and I've heard this, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's how much truth behind it. That there was a brawl between him and Gorilla Monsoon backstage. Like I said, I don't know how much truth there is behind that. I kind of want to say no because it might have been a match. I mean, I'm not sure. I can't never find nothing on proof behind it. Gorilla Monsoon's always seemed to be an easygoing person. He told it what was on his mind and everything, which I don't think Bruiser Brody would be that short tempered. He might have been at that one time when he in his younger years. I don't really. I never did get to meet the man. I was only like 5 or 6 years old when that happened to him. Tragically happened to him. Uh, he, I know he had a lot of matches in World Class Championship Wrestling with the Von Erichs. There was a lot of stuff on him I got of that particular. And I've seen a couple of his matches in WWF, which was pretty good. There was one match everybody needs to see out there. It was him against Terry Funk, and I want to say it was in Japan. Very good match. Of course, Terry Funk was younger back then. Bruiser Brody was young. Of course, it's always kind of funny because Bruiser Brody was so much bigger. I think he might have been bigger than Dory, I believe, just looking, because if you look at it, Dory ain't that much taller than Terry. But Bruiser Brody was towering over Terry Funk in that match. Well, he was towering over Abdul the Butcher, which to me, him and Abdul the Butcher had some good matches. I think there was a match between Bruiser Brody and Kevin Sullivan at Florida. Yeah, it would have been at Florida's Championship Wrestling because Bruiser Brody, of course, he was a wild man. It the matches I always liked about him is that he would always wind up being bleeding on his forehead. You know, he just looked like a madman, like something you'll find out in the wooded areas. You know, if you ain't careful, you run into a wild man in the woods, and that's what he looked like. I never really understood his what his character was actually supposed to be. Was he supposed to be some kind of Viking raider, or was he some kind of just basically a mountain man? I think it was a little bit of both. A friend of mine told me it was like a little bit of both. He was just a tough individual. But yeah, he was as a matter of fact, a lot of his stuff is pretty pricey now. Which you know, if you find DVDs, I look for anybody that watches these videos to watch stuff on Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody made let's see who I'm trying to remember. I think it was in. I can't remember if it was WWF. No, it wouldn't have been in WWF. I think it was in. Yeah, it was in World Class Championship Wrestling. I trying to remember if it was what year it was. It was back in the 80s. I think it might have been like 84 or 85, somewhere in that area. Him and the Great Kabuki had a match there. And that was a wild match. I want to say, too, he also had a match with Kamala, I think. I don't know if it was World Class Championship Wrestling out of Texas or if it was Florida Championship Wrestling. No, it would have been. I have to go back and look. I mean, well, y'all can go back and look to see. It's his matches are kind of hard to remember which uh, promotion he was in because a lot of the promotions that he was in were basically kind of going their way out. By the time I was really getting into Bruiser Brody and all that, I mean they were still the territory wrestling, but all that has started. You know, you started seeing it started declining for some odd reason, just like AWA, which I was watching all that, but I mean it was starting to really as the years went by, and the more I got into it, that's what was going on. But yeah, I know Bruiser Brody and One Man Gang had a tag team, which was a great tag team. Of course, you know that was my two of my favorites from this particular areas. You know because like Bruiser Brody, One Man Gang was also a great brawler. Uh, I would love to meet him one day. But yeah, I mean, Bruiser Brody was a one of a kind wrestler. You have to go back and watch him. I mean, I put him up there with guys like Mick Foley, Terry Funk, a lot of your hardcore wrestlers. He was one of the pioneers of hardcore wrestling. He would have made a big name for himself in ECW. Matter of fact, they would have put the ECW world title on him a couple of times in ECW if he was still alive. About he hadn't been tragically taken away from us. He would have been in ECW. They would have loved him there. Because he would have fit right in, just like Terry Funk and all them, and Abdullah the Butcher and Kevin Sullivan. Uh, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video, and I hope everybody out there had a good time watching these videos. Make sure you watch uh, Ultimo Gallo's wrestling shows. His other show, the Mississippi Film Work DIY Mississippi Film Work. It's always got great stuff on there. And hope everybody out there enjoys this video. Y'all take care out there and just be patient with me. And I have more videos coming up. We've been having a lot of stuff been going on. So y'all be patient with me. And I want to thank all my fans out there that watches my videos. Leave me a comment or whatever, And I appreciate it. And wait for the next new videos coming up.